Okay, so let's take a look at the answers of this season's practice. It's not necessarily so important that you write the correct answers on your paper, but that you get the understanding that you need in order to be able to show that you understand how the seasons work. So first of all, which letter represents the winter solstice? And we're going to talk about all of these questions in relation to the northern hemisphere, which is up here. See, that's the end, the northern hemisphere, because that's the hemisphere that we live in. So unless the question explicitly says otherwise, all of these are going to refer to where we live in the northern hemisphere. So the winter solstice. The solstice is the day where the earth is tilted most towards or away from the sun, our hemisphere. The winter solstice is when it is tilted the most away from the sun. Well, here's our hemisphere, the northern hemisphere. I'm going to shade these two in here. And you'll notice here, our northern hemisphere is kind of leaning in towards the sun. It is tilted towards the sun. Whereas here, instead of being vertical, it is tilted away from the sun. So this right here is the winter solstice. It is that day that we are tilted the most away from the sun. This is also called the first day of winter. That's where winter starts. Now, which letter represents the start of fall? Now, this gets a little tricky. I'm going to label this the first day of winter. Well, I'm got to understand now that this must be the first day of summer because this is when we're leaned in towards the sun. So I'm going to label this first day of summer. You must identify summer and winter before you do anything else because remember, spring and fall look exactly the same. So we have to go off of summer and winter. If we're looking for fall, what season does fall come after? Well, fall is after summer. So therefore, you see the arrows are going this way. This here is the first day of fall because this is summer, then you start fall. You're in fall, you start winter. You're in winter until you start spring, and then you're in spring until you start summer again. So which letter represents the longest day of the year for Georgia? That's going to be A. That's the day that we are tilted most towards the sun, or our summer solstice, the first day of summer. The fall equinox. That is going to be just a fancy way to say B. The first day of fall is also called the fall equinox. Which letter represents the first day of spring? Well, spring starts after winter, so that must be D. This is a thinking question. Where are we closest to right now? Well, what season have we just started? We know we're out of summer. We have just started fall. And we're not close to winter yet. This happens at Christmas. So right now the earth is right about here. So we are closest to the letter B at this moment. In which letter would the sun set the earliest or the shortest day of the year? That's going to be the first day of winter or the winter solstice, C. Where would the sun set the latest? That's the longest day of the year, the summer solstice, the first day of summer. Where is the earth on or about June 22nd? Well, that is the date of the summer solstice. That's A. Which is when summer begins. Letter A. At which letter is the northern hemisphere getting the most sunlight? Well, that's when we're tilted towards the sun the most. That by definition is the summer solstice. That's A. All of these questions, 8, 9, 10, 11, are all saying the same thing. Now, what season is it from C to D? This is the first day of winter. That would be the first day of spring. So everywhere in between C and D is winter, because you start winter here and you don't end winter until you get that first day of spring. From letter A to B, the days are getting what? This is longer or shorter. So this is the first day of summer, the day we have our maximum tilt towards the sun, the longest day of the year, and we start moving towards the shortest day of the year. So as we move from the longest to the shortest, we go from A to B. Our days are getting shorter. What is happening to the length of the days from D to A? Well, this is spring, and we know that in spring our days start getting longer, and that this is our longest day of the year. So from D to A, days are getting longer. Now, what's happening to temperatures from B to C? Well, this is fall. that's winter. We know what's happening. Our days are getting shorter as we go to that first day of winter, so our temperatures are going down. Because our days are getting shorter and we're getting less sunlight. So where is the Earth on March 22nd? Well, that's about the day of the spring equinox. Well, the spring equinox is here at D. So on March 22nd, the Earth is right there at letter D, because that's the first day of spring, or the spring equinox, which is always about that date. Which letter represents the spring equinox? Well, it's just another way of saying the same thing. That's letter D. That is when we start spring. Now, what's happening to the length of days from B to C? Once again, this is the first day of fall, the first day of winter. That's our shortest day, so days are getting shorter. Getting less sunlight, which means the temperatures are consequently going down, which is we know what happens in fall, that as the days get shorter and we go to December, our temperatures go down. What season starts at letter B in the southern hemisphere? Remember, the southern hemisphere is always opposite ours. So B started our fall, so it starts spring in the southern hemisphere. What letter represents the start of winter in the southern hemisphere? Well, it's whatever the opposite is for our summer starts their winter. Our summer starts at A, so their winter starts at A.